Now certain specific disallowances are there under section 40. So what specific disallowances are there? In case if you make any payment outside India or to a non-resident in respect of any sum which is chargeable to tax under the Act, if tax has not been deducted at source, no TDS, or tax has been deducted at source, but the same has been not deposited, not paid, up to the due date of furnishing, up to the due date of what? Furnishing the return of income. So in this particular circumstance, the expenditure so incurred will not be allowed. If tax has not been deducted at source or after deduction, the same has not been paid on or before the due date of furnishing the return of income, in that particular circumstance, such expenditure will not be what? Allowed as deduction. That expenditure will not be what? Deductible. That has been provided in section 40A1. Now, in case subsequently, if tax is deducted at source and deposited in the subsequent year, or the same has been deposited after the due date of furnishing the return of income, then the expenditure which was disallowed will be allowed in the previous year in which the tax is so deposited. Then it has been further provided that if the payer basically is not making any subsequent payment from which tax is to be deducted at source, and payee considers the income and pays the tax, furnishes his return, and give a declaration to the effect that he has what? Paid the tax on the same, that income, then the payer will be what? Entitled deduction in such subsequent year. This was for the non-residents. This was for non-residents. Basically, if you are making payment to non-residents or say a person outside India. Similarly, here if payments are made to residents, in India, then 30% of such sum payable to residents on which tax has not been paid or deducted, say deducted. If after deduction have not been paid on or before the due date of furnishing the return of income, then in that case it will not be what? Allowed as deduction. Then income tax is a specific disallowance, wealth tax is specific disallowance. Similarly, if any royalty, license fees, etc., which is exclusively levied on state government undertaking by the state government. So state government undertaking, exclusive levy has been there by the state government of the royalties, license fees, privilege fees, etc. In that particular circumstance, that expenditure will not be, say, deductible. Then salaries, which is payable outside India, on which tax has not been deducted or paid. Salary paid outside India to a non-resident, on which tax has not been deducted or paid, then the sum will not be allowed as deduction. Then contribution which has been made towards the Provident Fund or other employees welfare fund, that will not be deductible until and unless the assessee has made effective arrangements relating to the fact that tax will be what? Deducted at source if needed when payment is made out of such fund. If any tax is paid on non-monetary perquisites of the employees, then it will not be allowed as deduction. So employees paying tax on non-monetary perquisite of the employee, the same will not be deductible. So these section 40 clause A, it is dealing with specific disallowances. One is what? Payments outside India or to non-resident on which tax has not been deducted or paid. 30% of sum payable to a resident on which tax has not been deducted or paid. Income tax is disallowed. Wealth tax is disallowed. Royalty and license fees, which is levied exclusively on the state government undertaking by the state government. Salaries payable outside India to NR on which tax has not been deducted or after deduction the same has not been paid. Contributions towards the Provident Fund or other employees welfare fund until and unless the assessee, that is the employer, has made effective arrangements from the trustees that tax will be deducted at source when payments are made from such fund. This is what section 40A dealing with the specific disallowances. Then we are having what? Section 40 capital A. Section 40 capital A, it is containing the provisions relating to expenses or payments not deductible in certain circumstances. It is expenses or payments which are not deductible in certain circumstances. Number, say, 48.2 is what? 48.2 is stating that in case if any payment is made to relatives, these are specified persons, and the same is excessive or unreasonable payment is made to relatives which is excessive or unreasonable having regard to the fair market value of goods or services, then such excessive or unreasonable payment will be disallowed. Who is a relative? In case of individual, he is a relative of the assessee. Relative means husband, wife, brother, sister, lineal ascendant or descendant. So if assessee, that is individual, is making payment to his relatives which is excessive or unreasonable having regard to fair market value of goods or services, the same will be disallowed. If company is there, company is making payment to directors or their relatives. Firm is making payment to partners or their relatives. AOP or HUF is making payment to members or their relatives which is excessive or unreasonable, the same is disallowed. In case if any individual has substantial interest in the business or profession of the assessee, assessee is making payment to that individual or his relative, the same will be disallowed. In case of any company, firm, AOP or BOI, in case of any company, firm, AOP or say Hindu undivided family is having say substantial interest in the business or profession. Company, firm, AOP or HUF is having substantial interest in the business or profession of the assessee, then if payment is made to these company, firm, AOP or HUF, or payment is made to the directors or their relatives of that company, partners or relatives of the firm, or say members of the AOP or HUF or their relatives, then it will be disallowed. Similarly, if a director of a company is having substantial interest in the assessee's business, assessee is making payment to that director, assessee is making payment to that company, assessee is making payment to the other directors or their relatives, the same will be what? Disallowed. So in this case, they are having substantial interest in our business. Assessee is us. They are having substantial interest and we are making payment to them. In case, it can be other way around also. If any other person is carrying on business or profession, either the assessee being an individual or along with his relative, he is having substantial interest in business or profession of that person. So that person will also come under the ambit of relative. If assessee is a company or a firm or AOP or HUF, they are having substantial interest in business or profession, or their directors or their relatives are having substantial interest in business or profession of the other person, that other person will also become the relative. So you can go through the definition of relative. Basically, fundamentally what they are saying is, if any expenditure has been incurred and the same is excessive or unreasonable having regard to the fair market value of goods or services, then that expenditure so incurred which is excessive or unreasonable, the same will be disallowed. That is 40A 2. Now 40A 3 is what? In case if any expenditure is paid, payment in cash, basically payment in cash, rupees 10,000 exceeding rupees 10,000 in a day. So expenditure paid in aggregating exceeding rupees 10,000 in a day to a person, otherwise than by way of say account pay check, account paid bank draft, use of electronic clearing system or other electronic mode as may be prescribed. In that case, the expenditure will be disallowed. That expenditure will be disallowed. In case of goods transport agency, enhanced limit of what? 35,000 will be applicable. In case of GTA, enhanced limit of 35,000 rupees will be applicable. And disallowance is to be made in the year of payment. You must remember, if expenditure has been incurred in this year, but payment is made in the subsequent year, then disallowance will be made in the year of payment. Now, Rule 6DD, you can go through the same. It is referring to the exceptions where cash payments can be made. Okay, so you can go through those exceptions. Now, if bank is closed on account of any strike, etc., earlier the same was allowed, but now that will not be what? Admissible. That will not be allowed as deduction. So that is about what? 40A3. Besides this, 40A7 makes what? If case you make any provision, if you make any provision for in respect of any gratuity, then provision in respect of gratuity will not be deductible. Provision in respect of gratuity, the same will not be deductible. However, if provision is made in respect of any gratuity that is payable to a retiring employee, that will be what? Allowed as deduction. Besides this, if any provision is made for non-statutory fund, provision has been made for non-statutory funds, the same will also not be allowed as deduction. Okay, so that was certain specific disallowances Besides this, you must remember these are what? Certain specific disallowances. Marked to market losses. Marked to market loss. और say जो foreseeable future losses, the same will not be deductible until and unless it has been provided under section 36(1). It is 18. Okay. So this was about the specific disallowances. Now what section 41 deals with? Section 41 deals with what? Profits chargeable to tax. 41 is dealing with the provisions relating to profits chargeable to tax. Now here, most of the things we have already discussed. 41(1) is say, if you have claimed any deduction, deduction is claimed in respect of any expenditure, or say loss, or there is a trading liability for which we have claimed a deduction. Then subsequently there is recovery. There is recovery against the loss or say there is a remission of trading liability. So cash has been embezzled and subsequently there is a recovery. Then it will be profits chargeable to tax. Even if business is discontinued, say discontinued, taxability will arise. If recovery is in hands of successor, taxability will arise in hands of successor. If in case of amalgamation, who is a successor? Amalgamated company is a successor. In case, firm is carrying on business or profession, is succeeded by another firm, that will be the other firm will be the successor. Demerger, resulting company will be what? The successor. And unilateral act of writing back the trading liability, the same taxability will arise. Then in case of what? Power generating undertakings, balancing charge. In case of power generating undertakings, we have already discussed under section 41(2). Earlier we have discussed the same. It will be taxable as profits chargeable to tax. If any scientific research asset is sold without having been used for the purpose of business and profession, then taxability will arise. Say we have purchased a scientific research asset for 35 lakhs. We have claimed deduction under section 35(1)(4) for rupees 35 lakhs. Now this is nil. Now this asset is sold for 18 lakh rupees. Whether the business is in existence or not, it will be what? Chargeable to tax. Recovery of bad debts is recovered, then taxability will arise under section 41(4). In case of recovery of bad debts, taxability arises under section 41(4). Then in case if there is any brought forward loss of the year of discontinuance of business, other than speculation business loss, then that brought forward loss of the year of discontinuance, other than speculation business loss, the same can be set off from such recovery. The same can be what? Set off from such recovery. That has been provided in section 41. Section 41 is very, very important section. The same can be definitely asked in your examination. Then we are having special provisions for deduction in case of business of prospecting, etc. of mineral oil. Special provisions for deduction in case of prospecting, etc. of mineral oil. Here, what is the allowable expense? If any expenditure has been incurred by way of infructuous or abortive exploration expenses, expenditure which has been incurred by way of say infructuous or abortive exploration expenses, expenditure which has been incurred in respect of physical assets which are used in business, and depletion of mining minerals in the mining, mineral oil basically in mining, that will be allowed as deduction. Besides the normal allowances, these additional deduction will be admissible. That is, there is an infructuous or abortive exploration expenses, expenditure which has been incurred on physical assets, and depletion of minerals, mineral oil in the mining, that will be what? Deductible. Relating to amalgamation and demerger, same tax treatment as balancing charge in case of say power generating undertakings. On case of transfer of business, same tax treatment as of balancing charge or terminal depreciation in case of power generating undertakings. Then we are having section 43AA. 43AA is dealing with the provisions in relation to gain or loss on account of exchange rate fluctuations. The same is to be recognized under as per the ICDS, that is whatever is the monetary items and non-monetary items, translation of foreign statements of basically translation of financial statements of foreign operations, forward exchange contracts and foreign currency translation reserves. They will be what recognized as per the income computation and disclosure standards. 43B is dealing with the provisions relating to deduction on actual payment basis. Here for these expenditures, the payment must be made on or before the due date of furnishing the return of income. Payment must be made on or before the due date of furnishing the return of income. Then it will be allowed in the previous year to which it relates. Otherwise, the same will be allowed in the year of payment. In respect of the following sums, which is payable by the assessee, deduction is allowed only if the sum is actually paid on or before the due date of furnishing the return of income. Here, basically, it is tax, duty, cess or fees payable under any law. Tax, duty, cess or fees payable under any law. Contribution to provident fund or say superannuation fund or gratuity fund or other employees welfare fund. Then bonus and commission to employees for services rendered. Then interest on any loans or borrowings. Here from any public financial institution, state financial corporation, state industrial investment corporation, deposit taking NBFC or systematically important non-deposit taking NBFCs. Then interest on loans or advances from scheduled banks or cooperative banks. So these are what basically deductible. On actual payment basis, payment must be made on or before the due date of furnishing the return of income. Then it will be allowed in the previous year to which it relates, otherwise in the year of payment. However, here if any interest remains outstanding and that is subsequently converted into loan, in case of conversion of interest into loan or borrowing or say advance, the same will be deductible in which the converted loan is paid. Then earned leave salary, and if you are using railway assets, so they ensure that payment to railway assets is made. So if you are using say railway assets, the payment must be made on or before the due date of furnishing the return. Then it will be allowed in the previous year to which the same relates. So this is about the 43B. This is a very important section from examination point of view. Here payment must be made on or before the due date of furnishing the return of income. You remember these expenditures. Payment is made out afterwards, then that amount will not be what? Deductible. Then section 43C, basically it is dealing with the special provisions for computation of cost section of certain assets. That is in case of say how you will be computing the cost section of the assets in case of say amalgamation or say if there is a partition of the Hindu undivided family or if gift is given. So here the cost to the previous owner becomes basically the cost of the asset, that is cost section of the said asset to the amalgamating company, HUF, transferor or donor. Then whatever improvement expenditure has been incurred by the amalgamating company, HUF, transferor or donor, and whatever expenditure has been incurred wholly and exclusively in connection with transfer, effecting partition, accepting of gift, obtaining probate in respect of will, creation of trust and gift tax. Basically, fundamentally, these transactions are not regarded as transfer. So if stock has been acquired for 5 lakh rupees and actually in amalgamating company's books, it is 1 lakh rupees and it is subsequently sold for say 6 lakh rupees. So the business profits will be, they are saying PGBP will be what? 6 lakh minus 1 lakh. PGB will be what? 6 lakh minus 1 lakh. This will be our PGBP rather than what? 1 lakh rupees. So that has been provided in this particular section 43C. Then 43C is very important section, very important section, which is applicable for builders. Basically, this section is applicable for kya? Builders. Now what they are saying is, in case if any builder is selling any land or building or both. Now here, the stamp duty value SDV will be taken as the full value of consideration in case if the actual consideration is less than stamp duty value, then SDV will be regarded as full value of consideration. When if the difference between the actual consideration and the stamp duty value exceeds what? 110% of the actual consideration. So if the actual consideration is 50 lakh rupees and the stamp duty value is 56 lakh rupees. In that case, 56 lakh rupees will be taken as the full value of consideration. If stamp duty value is just 55 lakh rupees then the actual consideration will be taken as what? The full value of consideration. Now they are further stating that, when you have to take the stamp duty value on the date of registration will be taken. Stamp duty value on the date of registration will be taken. However, if agreement has been entered prior to the date of registration, and payment is received prior to on or before the date of agreement. Payment has been received on or before the date of agreement through account pay check, account pay bank draft, use of electronic clearing system or other electronic mode as prescribed. In that particular circumstance, what you have to take is stamp duty value on the date of agreement is to be taken. In that case, stamp duty value on the date of agreement is to be taken. Then section 43 CB is dealing with the provisions of computation of income in respect of construction and service contracts. So here the computation of the income from construction and service contracts will be basically the income will be computed as per the percentage of completion method. However, in case of project, if duration of the project is not more than 90 days, in that particular circumstance, service contracts are there where duration is not more than 90 days, then project completion method will be used. And in case if contract involving indeterminate number of acts over a specific period of time, then straight line method will be what? Used. And here retention money, the same will be included in contract revenue, and incidental income will not be reduced from the contract cost. Retention money will be included in contract revenue, and the incidental income will not be reduced from the contract cost. So this has been provided in section 43 CB. Then 43D basically is dealing with special provisions for taxation of interest, on bad and doubtful debts in case of public financial institutions. So in case of public financial institutions, scheduled banks, cooperative banks other than Primary Agricultural Credit Society, Primary Agricultural and Rural Development Bank, State Industrial Investment Corporation, deposit taking NBFC or systematically important non-deposit taking NBFCs or housing finance companies, the interest on bad and doubtful debts, the same which is chargeable to tax in the previous year in which it is credited or in the previous year in which it is actually received, say whichever is earlier. So this has been provided in this particular section 43D, that is interest on bad and doubtful debts. These are loss assets. So basically in loss assets, interest income is recognized on, as per RBI guidelines, on cash basis only. On cash basis, whenever it is realized, then only that interest income is say recognized. Then section 44 is dealing with income, how you will be computing the income from insurance business. The income from insurance business will be computed. Income from insurance business will be computed as per the provisions of section, the first schedule of the Act, and tax rate will be, applicable tax rate will be what? 12.5%. Applicable tax rate will be 12.5%. Then we are section 44A. It is dealing with special provisions for deduction. It is dealing with special provisions for deduction in case of trade, professional or similar association. So in case if any trade, professional or similar association is there, general services received is contributions towards general services is say 10 lakh rupees. Expenditure is 15 lakh rupees. Then 5 lakh is deficiency. 5 lakh is deficiency. Now this deficiency will be allowed as deduction, and to the extent of 50% of total income. This deficiency will be allowed as deduction to the extent of 50% of total income before allowing such deficiency. Brought forward business loss and allowances will be given priority over such set off of deficiency. Such deficiency will not be allowed to be carried forward. Basically, they have given allowance in respect of deficiency. How you will be computing the deficiency? Whatever are the subscriptions received from general services, and whatever the expenditure incurred by the association on account of such general services, if it is more, the expenditure is more, it gives rise to deficiency. That deficiency will be deductible from the profits and gains of business and profession. And in case if there are lower profits, then it will be allowed as deduction from the other income, but the amount of deficiency to be allowed as deduction cannot exceed what? 50% of the total income before allowing such deficiency. Thus, deficiency cannot be what? Carried forward. Brought forward business losses will be given priority over such deficiency. So, these are special provisions for deduction of deficiency in case of trade, professional or similar association. Next part about maintenance and presumptive basis taxation and agricultural income, etc. we'll be discussing in our other class.